In the lonely desert at Zawiyat el-Aryan, there stands a ruin so stark and silent it seems more like the skeleton of a monument than a monument itself. Its layers of rough stone rise only a fraction of the height they were meant to reach, weathered by wind and time into a sloping mound. This is the so called layer pyramid, and for more than 4,000 years it has been linked to a name that is itself little more than a whisper: Khaba, the rising of the soul. Khaba's reign belongs to the twilight of Egypt's third dynasty, a period when the ambition to build in stone had been awakened, but the path forward was uncertain. If he was indeed the layer pyramid's owner, then his monument was conceived as another step pyramid, an heir to the designs of Djoser and Sekhemkhet. Its base suggests a bold plan, but what we see today is incomplete. Only a handful of courses of stone rising from the desert floor, the rest never built or long since dismantled. The cause of this abrupt halt is lost to history. Some believe Kaba's reign was brief, perhaps only a few years, leaving no time to finish such a vast undertaking. Others think the project was abandoned deliberately, its materials stripped to serve other kings' monuments. And there is a deeper uncertainty still, whether Khaba built it at all. His name appears on stone bowls found nearby, but no inscription directly ties him to the pyramid's construction. It is a connection woven from proximity and probability, not from proof. In a way, this suits Kaba's ghost-like presence in the historical record. He is absent from some king lists entirely, present in others only as a fleeting name, and his monuments, if they were ever completed, have either been lost or misattributed. What remains is a king whose soul, as his name claims, rises, but rises into the thin air of speculation. The layer pyramid itself has never been fully excavated, its inner chambers still largely unexplored. Beneath its exposed stone lies the possibility of a tomb, perhaps still sealed, perhaps empty like Sekhemkhet's. In that darkness may lie the key to Kaba's story, or another silence to add to the desert's long memory. For now, Khaba stands as one of the least understood pharaohs of the Old Kingdom, a ruler glimpsed only through the unfinished lines of a monument that never had the chance to speak his full name to the ages. The layer pyramid's name comes not from any inscription, but from the way its builders stacked rough, thick limestone courses in wide horizontal layers, each one slightly set back from the one below. Even unfinished, it shows a mastery of early pyramid design, a confidence in stone construction that had grown since Djoser's day. Archaeologists estimate it would have reached at least 6 or 7 steps if completed, standing as a worthy successor to the step pyramid. But today, the upper tiers are gone, leaving only the lower layers, like the base of a stairway that stops in midair. Scattered around the site are mastabas, massive rectangular tombs for high ranking officials. Their presence suggests that this place was meant to be a royal necropolis, a complex not just for the king's tomb, but for the court that would serve him in the afterlife. Within these mastabas, excavators found fragments of fine stone vessels inscribed with Kaba's serek, the rectangular frame containing his Horus name. These inscriptions are the strongest link between the king and the layer pyramid, though they are far from conclusive. The vessels could have been brought from another site or reused in later burials. The problem is that Kaba's reign is so lightly attested elsewhere. His name appears on a few stone bowls from Saqqara and on fragments from the Great Royal Cemetery at Zawit al-Aryan, and that's nearly all. The Turin King list, compiled over 1,000 years later, may refer to him under another name entirely, possibly Hujefa II, a placeholder term meaning erased or missing, as if even by the new kingdom his name had been forgotten. If true, it means Khaba was a king already fading from memory within centuries of his death. The layer pyramid's unfinished state has fueled theories. Some scholars suggest he died unexpectedly, leaving the project incomplete, much like Sekhemkhet. Others think his reign was disrupted by political instability at the dynasty's close, a period when Egypt may have been transitioning toward the fourth dynasty and the rise of the great pyramid builders at Giza. The possibility remains that Kaba's pyramid was abandoned and his burial moved to another, smaller monument elsewhere, leaving the layer pyramid as a silent shell. To stand at the site today is to feel the same uncertainty the archaeologists must have felt when they first uncovered its stones. The air is still, the desert stretches out unbroken, and the pyramid's tears rise quietly from the sand, holding their secrets as they have for over 40 centuries. Kaba's name may mean the rising of the soul, but here it feels like the soul rose only partway before vanishing into the desert sky. Kaba's life and reign are like the shadow of a falcon passing over the desert, visible for an instant, then gone. His name survives in stone fragments and faint inscriptions, but his story is told more through absence than presence. The layer pyramid rises just enough to suggest its promise, then stops, a gesture toward the heavens cut short. Whether by sudden death, shifting politics, or the quiet erasure of memory, Kaba's climb toward immortality was interrupted, leaving us only with questions. And yet, perhaps that is his legacy, not the finished monument that stands tall for millennia, but the one that never reached completion, forcing us to wonder what might have been. In the broad tiers of his pyramid, we see ambition. In the mastabas of his officials, we see the outline of a court, ready to serve its king forever. In the emptiness above those tiers, we see the fragility of all human plans, even those of a god king. The third dynasty began with the bold vision of Djoser, and it ended in shadows, in rulers like Sekhemket and Khaba, whose reigns left behind grand beginnings that the desert swallowed before their time. The layer pyramid stands as their silent companion, a monument not to achievement, but to interruption. Today, the wind moves softly across the site at Zawiat El Aryan, carrying grains of sand over the weathered stone. The pyramid's steps still rise, their edges softened by centuries, their purpose obscured. It is here that Khaba lingers, not in the clear record of history, but in the half-finished dream that invites us to imagine the rest. In that space between what is known and what is lost, his soul still rises,